Something strange happened, and almost everyone missed it. No announcement. No teaser poster. No press release. Just a few quiet posts, from the wrong people, at the perfect time. When SB19's leader Pablo and their longtime vocal coach Bruno shared content connected to Bruno Mars' upcoming album, fans first assumed it was nothing. But then patterns started forming. The timing. The connections. The silence. Because when global artists prepare something major, they don't tease loudly. They signal quietly. And suddenly, one question started spreading fast. Is SB19 about to make history, with Bruno Mars? Before we break down the clues, make sure to like this video, share it with a fellow Auton, and subscribe, because this story gets more interesting the deeper we go. This rumor didn't explode from fan edits or speculation threads. It didn't begin with excitement, it began with observation. Because the first people who noticed weren't chasing headlines. They were watching who moved. Pablo, SB19's leader, chief producer, and creative decision-maker. Bruno, the group's longtime vocal coach, present in their most critical recording moments. Both shared content connected to Bruno Mars' upcoming album, quietly, without commentary, within the same window of time. On their own, these posts mean nothing. Together, they raise a pause. These aren't casual listeners scrolling playlists. These are professionals who live inside studio schedules, release calendars, and creative timelines. In this industry, timing isn't coincidence. It's information. And that's when fans stopped reacting. And started analyzing. What made this moment unsettling wasn't the post itself. It was the pattern behind it. Pablo is famously selective online. He doesn't repost trends. He doesn't amplify hype. And he rarely engages publicly with artists unless the connection is personal or professional. Every share he makes usually ties to something he's studying, creating, or preparing for. Bruno follows the same rhythm, especially during recording periods, when his focus narrows strictly to vocal development and sound direction. So when both acknowledge the same global artist at the same time, while SB19 is actively working on new music, curiosity deepened. Because in creative industries, admiration is private. Acknowledgement is intentional. And sometimes, the safest way to say something is happening is to say nothing at all, and let the repost speak quietly. This rumor carries weight for one powerful reason: Bruno Mars isn't just a global superstar. He's Filipino by blood. His mother was Filipino, and throughout his career, Bruno has never hidden that part of himself. He's spoken about it openly. Proudly. Not as marketing, but as memory, family, and identity. When he performs in the Philippines, it doesn't feel like a tour stop. It feels like a homecoming. That changes the meaning of everything. Because SB19 isn't just another pop group chasing international validation. They represent modern Filipino artistry, self-produced, self-built, unapologetically local and globally fluent. A connection between them wouldn't feel accidental. It would feel symbolic. A bridge between generations. Between heritage and evolution. Between where Filipino music came from, and where it's going next. That's why this rumor feels heavier than hype. It feels cultural. Then came the moment fans couldn't brush aside. During an interview, Stell said it plainly. We are working on new music. It's a collaboration with an international artist. No name. No clues. No dramatic build-up. Just a calm statement, which somehow made it louder. Because SB19 doesn't tease recklessly. They don't float ideas. They don't test reactions. They speak when something is already moving. And the timing was impossible to ignore. The comment surfaced just as discussions around Bruno Mars' upcoming album were growing, and right after those quiet reposts from inside SB19's creative circle. That single sentence shifted everything. This was no longer fans imagining possibilities. This was confirmation that something global was already in motion, even if the destination remained unnamed. At that moment, speculation stopped being noise. And started becoming investigation. This is where mature analysis matters, because collaboration doesn't always look the way fans imagine. It isn't always a duet. It isn't always two names on a chorus. In modern music, collaboration takes many forms. It can be songwriting, production guidance, arrangement design, vocal layering, creative direction behind the sound. Bruno Mars is known for working inside tight creative circles, often shaping songs long before his voice ever touches the final track. That opens many possibilities. SB19 could contribute harmonies, melodic ideas, or songwriting perspectives. They could be part of sessions happening quietly through industry networks. And here's the truth most audiences never hear. Behind-the-scenes collaborations often matter more than public ones. Because they build trust first. Visibility comes later. While fans focus on artists, the real movement often happens elsewhere, inside management rooms and creative networks. One Entertainment has been expanding globally, but not through noise. Through structure. International songwriting camps. Cross-border producer connections. Strategic partnerships beyond Southeast Asia. This is how serious collaborations begin, not through social media messages, but through aligned teams and shared studios. If Bruno Mars Camp is assembling global creatives for an upcoming project, it's entirely plausible that SB19's production side entered the conversation. Especially Pablo. Because Pablo isn't simply a performer. He's a songwriter. A producer. A musical architect who understands both pop precision and emotional storytelling. That makes him valuable in rooms where star power already exists, but fresh perspective is rare. This wouldn't be coincidence. It would be positioning. 5 years ago, a rumor like this would have sounded impossible. Today, it sounds earned. Because SB19 has changed. They don't just perform music anymore, they build it. They write their own songs. They shape their sound. They understand global pop structure, not just choreography. They perform internationally with control, not imitation. Most importantly, they operate beyond idle limitations. They're no longer artists waiting to be chosen. They're creators offering value. And that's the moment global doors begin to open. International artists don't collaborate out of curiosity or sympathy. They collaborate when skill aligns with vision. When identity meets discipline. SB19 now stands exactly at that intersection. That's why this rumor doesn't feel unrealistic. It feels timed. If something this big is happening, the obvious question is simple. Why the silence? Because global collaborations don't move loudly. They move legally. NDAs are signed. Contracts are layered. Label approvals take time. Release schedules are protected months, sometimes years, in advance. One careless confirmation can collapse an entire project. That's why artists speak carefully. Why posts remain ambiguous. Why names are never mentioned early. In the music industry, silence doesn't signal absence. It signals protection. And that's exactly where SB19 sits right now. They haven't confirmed anything, but they haven't denied anything either. That middle space is intentional. Because real projects don't live in headlines. They live quietly, until the moment they're ready to be revealed. If SB19 and Bruno Mars truly connect, in any form, it wouldn't just be a collaboration. It would be a turning point. Not only for SB19, but for Filipino representation in global pop. For decades, Filipino talent has powered the industry quietly, as singers, producers, vocal coaches, often celebrated privately, rarely centered publicly. This moment would change that. It would say Filipino artists aren't just influences behind the scenes. They're collaborators at the table. From local stages to global albums. From heritage to headline. This wouldn't be about chart positions or viral numbers. It would be about recognition. A full circle moment where roots meet evolution, and identity finally stands in the spotlight. That's why fans aren't just excited. They're hopeful. So, is this really happening? Right now, we don't know. There's no confirmation. No announcement. No official name attached. But what we do know is this. The timing aligns. The people involved matter. The statements exist. The cultural connection is real. And the silence feels deliberate. Coincidences happen. But they rarely stack this precisely. Whether this becomes a full musical collaboration or a behind-the-scenes partnership, something meaningful is clearly forming beneath the surface. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But something is moving. And when it finally emerges, people will look back at these quiet moments, these small signals, and realize they were never random at all.